Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
You can find a copy of Mishkan Tefillah in front of you or underneath you. But before we begin our service, it's our great pleasure to welcome Nathan Cantor to the Bima as he presents Sam with his Tallids. Do you want to talk to him?
Sure.
Oh, okay.
So this was Grandpa David's. I got to wear this when he passed away. And now that you're being bar mitzvahed, we were asked to present this to you. I'm going to let the rabbi put it on you the right way so I don't mess it up.
Have him say the blessing first.
Oh,
Okay.
Like,
Here.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvah tov, v'tzivanu l'chitativ b'tzitzit.
Amen.
Here, I'll just go this way. Give him a
very
hug.
proud of you.
Give him a hug. Put your arms through.
We have to give you a hug now.
Okay.
It's part of the service.
Did you say goodbye?
Good luck.
Good luck. You got an Aliyah, number 2. Okay. We begin on page 290. 290.
Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Israel. Ani berov chasnecha avo beitecha eshtachavem el heichal kodshecha Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe. With divine wisdom, you have made our bodies, combining veins, arteries, and vital organs into a finely balanced network. Wondrous maker and sustainer of life, were one of them to fail, how well we are aware, we would lack the strength to sustain life before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, source of our health and strength.
Amen. On the next page. Elohai, Elohai, neshama, shenatatami tehorahi. Ata verata, ata yetzarta, ata nefachta bi, ve'ata meshamera bekirmi. Elohai, Elohai, neshama, shenatata bi tehorahi. On
page 293, we have our blessings for daily miracles, Nisim B'chol Yom.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has given the mind the ability to distinguish day from night. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who opens the eyes of the blind. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who frees the captive. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who lifts up the fallen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who stretches the earth over the waters. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who strengthens our steps. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who clothes the naked. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who gives strength to the weary. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who removes sleep from the eyes and slumber from the eyelids. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who made me in the image of God. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me free. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me a Jew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who girds Israel with strength. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who crowns Israel with splendor.
298.
These are things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world. While the principle remains in the world to come, they are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making peace among people. But the study of Torah encompasses them all.
Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. We continue on page 301.
When we rise.
Baruch Shemar v'haya haolam, Baruch hu, Baruch Oseh v'reshit, Baruch Omer v'oseh, Baruch Ozer Mkayim, Baruch Merachem al haaretz, Baruch Merachem al habriot, Baruch Meshalem Sachar Tov lireiav, Baruch Haila'ad v'kayam lanetzach, Baruch Podeh u'matzil, Baruch Shemo. יחיד כעולמים, מלך משובח ומפואר, עדי עד שמו הגדול. ברוך אתה אדוני, מלך מהולל בתשבחות.
Please be seated. 306.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah el bekodsho, hallelujah birkiyahu zo, hallelujah bigburotav, hallelujah kerov kudlo. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah beteka shofar, hallelujah benevel mechinor, hallelujah betov umachol, hallelujah במינים ועוגב. הללויה, 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 הללויה. הללויה בצלצלי שמה, הללוהו בין ציזלי תרועה, כל הנשמה תהלליה, כל הנשמה תהלליה. הללויה, 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 הללויה. We continue on page 310, Shochein Ad. שוכן עד מרום וקדוש שמו, בכתוב רננו צדיקים באדוני, לישרים נאווה תהילה. בפי ישרים תתהלל ובדברי צדיקים תתברך, ובלשון חסידים תתרומם, ובקרב קדושים תתקדש. ובמגלות רבבות עמך בית ישראל, ברינה יתפאר שמך מלכנו בכל דור ודור. ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו, האל המלך הגדול והקדוש בשמיים ובארץ. ברוך אתה אדוני, אל מלך גדול בתשבחות, אל ההודאות אדון הנפלאות, הבוחר בשירי זמרה, מלך אלכי העולמים. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשם. בריחו לעילה מן כל מלכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תאמירן מעלמה, ואמרו אמן.
Can we rise?
Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach leolam ba'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach leolam ba'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uvarei choshech, oseh shalom uvarei et hakol hamayir ba'aretz, v'ladarim aleha barachamim, uvtuvo mechadesh bechol yom tamid, ma'aseh v'reshit. Ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam bechochma asita, mal'a haaretz kinyanecha. Titbarach Adonai Eloheinu al shavach ma'aseh yadecha, ve'al ma'orei or sha'asita yevarecha selah, or chadash al Zion ta'ir, v'nizkeh hulanu mihere le'oro. Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer HaMorot.
Amen. אהבתנו, אדוני, אלוהינו, חמלה גדולה בתורה, חמלת עלינו, אהבה רבה אהבתנו, אדוני, אלוהינו, חמלה גדולה בתורה, חמלת עלינו, בעבור אבותינו מאימותינו שבטחו בך ותלמדי חוקי חיים, כן תכוננו ותלמדנו, כן תכוננו ותלמדנו, אהבה רבה אהבתנו, אדוני, אלוהינו, חמלה גדולה בתורה, חמלת עלינו, חמלה גדולה בתורה, חמלת עלינו. בהאר עינינו בתורתך, ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך, ויחד לבבינו לאהבה וליראה את שמך, ולא נבוש ולא ניכלם ולא ניכשל לעולם ועד, כי בשם קודשך הגדול והנורא בטחנו, נגילה ונשמחה, נגילה ונשמחה בישועתך. ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד, שם כבוד, מלכותו לעולם, לעולם ועד.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, וחיו הדברים האלה אשר הכי מצווך היום אל לבך, ושיננת לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך ובביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך וחיו לתותפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לרעכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohim Emet.
321.
Sing the song of men and women, joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace.
On the next page.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. נורא תהילות עושה פלם, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, אדוני מלוך לעולם ועד. שירה חדשה שימחו גאולים לשמך על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו, אדוני מלוך לעולם ועד. יאי די 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 די. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Tzur Yisrael. Be'ezrat Yisrael ufetei chinumecha Yehuda b'Yisrael go aleinu Adonai Tzevaot Shemo Kedosh Yisrael. Baruch Ata Adonai Ga'al Yisrael.
For those who are able, we rise together for our tefillah 324.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים. נקדש את שמך מקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וכרזה אל זה מאמר קדוש, 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 קדוש אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ כבודו. עתיר עתירנו אדוני אדוננו, מדיר שמך לדור ודור,
לדור ודור.
לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד קולך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד קולך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש, בשבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש, לעולם לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
The top of page 329, those who keep Shabbat by calling it a delight will rejoice in your realm. The people that hallow Shabbat will delight in your goodness. For being pleased with the seventh day, you hallowed it as the most precious of days, drawing our attention to the work of creation.
ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. מקדשי שבי שבת, כולם ישבעו ויתענגו מטובך שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. והשביעי רצית בו וקידשתו שבת. חמדת ימים אותו קראת שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. זכר למעשה בראשית שבת. זכר למעשה בראשית שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת.
He loves that organ. We continue on page 330.
On this Shabbat day, as you graciously receive our prayers, help us to hear your call. Grant us enough health to fulfill our duties and the compassion we need to attend to others. Teach us humility that we may perceive our own faults. And grant us the wisdom to be forgiving of others. Give us the courage to be true to our highest selves and the charity to see the best in those around us. Give us the patience, enough not to become discouraged, hope enough to overcome all fears for the future, and faith enough to know your presence, O source of blessing. Look with favor upon us. May our offerings be acceptable to you. We praise you, Adonai, whom alone we serve and reverence.
Amen.
334.
Sim shalom, sim כל ישראל עמך, שים שלום, שים שלום. ברוך אתה אדוני המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום. We now take some moments for private meditation. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, מעל כל ישראל מאמרו אמן. עושה שלום ממרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום ממרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום ממרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
My Torah portion for this Shabbat is Parshat Ki Tisa, found in the book of Exodus. My Torah portion specifically discusses the infamous episode of the worshipping of the golden calf. Moses goes up on Mount Sinai for 40 days and 40 nights in order to receive the 10 Commandments from God. While he is gone, the Israelites become fearful and impatient. They worry that Moses has left them and that an invisible God cannot be real. Thus, they create what's known as the golden calf to worship so they can feel like God is with them. This is idolatry. The Torah and a great rabbis consider idolatry to be a horrible transgression. When Moses comes down from the mountain and hears about what has happened, he shatters the tablets, grinds up the calf, and forces the people to drink the dust mixed with water. For my Devar Torah, I want to discuss the golden calf and its impact on Judaism and on me. It is an interesting occurrence. Because the Israelites know God exists, yet they become fearful and decide to make an idol. Again, a major sin. I want to explain why I think it happened and how it happens in day-to-day life. We can suggest the Israelites felt that God and Moses had abandoned them. Therefore, they felt scared. This fear scared them so they wanted to make something to worship to retain their faith, and above all, a sense of security. They wanted to be more comfortable, knowing that their God would protect them from any harm to come their way. When we think about it, it is scary to think that the entire world could be just random chance, and it is the uncertainty that really drives this fear, similar to what the Israelites were experiencing. The human condition teaches us that life can throw us many challenges. This Torah portion made me really think about how I deal with the fear of uncertainty. One thing many people do not know is that I have a generalized anxiety disorder. I don't talk about this much, and it is very much personal. I have to deal with fear and anxiety most days, and you just don't see it on my face. I sometimes worry about things that seem small to others but matter so much to me. I keep a well-composed persona in front of people, so they are not affected by this anxiety. However, writing this Devar Torah has made me think a lot about how I can more openly share what I think with others. Conquering anxiety or fear is something we all do in our own ways. For me, I've learned that I have to talk to others, share my feelings and concerns, and allow people to help me, as cheesy as that does sound. I also have to trust in God. Through these situations, becoming a bar mitzvah has taught me about talking to God and trusting in God. When I am anxious or uncertain, I know that I have to give it up to God and let things happen. This seems especially true in the world these days. There are a lot of uncertainties, which has created a lot of fear. Trust me, I watch a lot of YouTube, more than my parents would like, and I see all the crazy things out there. Instead, we all have to learn to deal with these fears without building a false idol. We have to trust in our beliefs and not give false comfort to something else. Even though we are scared, we should not give in to false rumors or misconceptions. Whatever you believe in, you should stick to it. False idols are created from fear, and bravery melts them. Sometimes it is hard to be brave, but you have to keep the faith. When Moses heard what had happened, he was furious. He stormed down the mountain, against his better judgment, shattered the tablets and grinded up the calf. He was furious after God's children were disobeying him and God after all they had done for them, the egregious sin of idolatry. However, here we also learn about forgiveness. In Judaism, even during its infancy stages, the importance of forgiveness is clear. In Parshat Ki-Tisa, Moses ascended to Mount Sinai to get a new set of tablets. Another aspect to point out in my Torah portion is that Moses debated God, challenging him to forgive the Israelites and start anew. Today, I become a bar mitzvah. I have thought about this day, too. It's extremely important to me, and I think it means a transition for the better. I am so happy to be here with all of you. And I am ready to change. You may not have the same traditions as I do, but this is my transition towards the future. I plan to help prevent fear from taking hold of people. I'm not saying that I can stop all of it, but I think I can help prevent the fear that took hold of the Israelites and led to the golden calf. I can talk to others. I believe in God. I will help people overcome the fear that prevents them in ways we can all feel. I can and will help. I also have learned that we have to look at all sides before we make a decision. We cannot rely on one person's view. Everyone is the hero of their own story. Instead, we're all a part of that story. We are all equal in the end, and we have to work together to improve the world and the universe. So trust in God, trust in our beliefs, trust people who support us and are there for us. Thank you to all of you who are here, especially my family that is here and those clouds in heaven. And I also want to thank Rabbi Wright, Cantor Whitner, and Monica for helping me through all of this and all their help and support for this journey. Thank you all.
For the spirit of learning, we now move to our Torah service on page 362. And for the honor of opening the ark, we welcome to the Bima Ann Eisen and Meredith Washko and Lador Vador from generation to generation. We welcome Julie and Todd. We rise together.
All right. Ein kamocha va'Elohim Adonai, ve'ein kema'asecha, malechutecha malechut kol olamim, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור. אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני מלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. אף הרחמים היטיבה ברצונך את ציון. תבנה חומות ירושלים, תבנה חומות ירושלים. כי בך לבד בטחנו, מלך אל רם ונישא אדון עולמים. כי מציון תצא תורה, כי מציון תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. ברוך שנתן תורה תורה, ברוך שנתן תורה תורה, לעמו ישראל בקדושתו.
Sam, I too have thought about this day for a long time. Samuel David Washko. Now you can see I can use all three names when I'm really proud of you, not just when I'm mad at you. Your introduction to Judaism was very protracted. It started early when we were in New Orleans, though I think you were too small to remember quite a lot of it. And it halted when we moved to South Carolina. In Charleston, the community was nothing like it is here. It's not nearly as warm or as welcoming as we have found it here. Plus, it was a 45-minute drive each way. So when we moved to Birmingham, I promised that I would do better for you and Meredith. When we had only been here for 2 weeks, in fact, your dad was still in South Carolina, I was a bit overwhelmed and a mess. So I came to meet with the interim education director, Linda Gutchin. Can't thank Linda enough. To enroll you both in religious school. She told me about how Hebrew was integrated into religious school. But Linda was worried that you were starting Hebrew 6 months later than your peers. I didn't even mention you hadn't been to Sunday school, ever. I reassured her that you were bright and would catch up, but I'm a mom, so I worried. But within the first few weeks of religious school and Hebrew, you were ecstatic. You loved this new part of yourself and of your heritage. And within a few months, even Linda called me to praise your remarkable progress and enthusiasm. So now here we are. And what I want to tell you is that you can do hard things. When something feels hard and you want to give up, I want you to remember that you came into Hebrew school so far behind your classmates and persevered. You can do hard things. Now the hard part. There are 2 people who really should be here today. Well, more than 2, but 2 who mean quite a lot to us. My mom and my dad, your heart and your grandpa David. So I want to give you the advice that I think they would have wanted you to hear. Your grandpa David would have told you to embrace Judaism and to embrace this community. He would have loved it here. To recognize that being Jewish always makes you part of something bigger. And then your heart. She would have been so proud of you today and so impressed. She would have told you to make sure you remember every moment of this weekend, of all these feelings and all the love. And she would always remind you to make sure that you make every day count.
Thank you to all of you who were able to make it here today as my son Sam is called to the Torah as a bar mitzvah. And thank you to all of those who helped him and us along this path in our adopted home. Your the reason why we feel more at home here than in any of our many stops along the way. Sam, I'm confident you'll be able to take from this what's useful. You've already shown a talent for telling good advice from bad. I remember trying to teach you when you were younger that the Tennessee Volunteers were the good guys and that you should always be rooting for them. And you looked at me, and you couldn't have been more than 5. And you said, "Daddy, there's no good guys and bad guys in football. I'm rooting for the guys with the G on their helmets." Even then, you recognized that a Tennessee fan is not going to be a reliable source of information about football. So you're already learning how to distinguish and how to be selective who you listen to, which is good, because as you get older, there are going to be a lot of people who are going to want to change who you are and what you do. And sometimes those people will have a point, and you need to listen to them openly. But there are certain things that you need to keep untouchable because they're beautiful and perfect as they are. Hold on to your endless creativity. You come up with things that I never could. You see angles on things that would never occur to me, and they challenge my thinking. And some people won't be comfortable with the things that you come up with, but don't ever lose that spark of what if. Hold on to your curiosity about the why and how of things work, and the way that you immediately turn that into the question that not as many people go on to, which is, how can I make this better than I found it? And most of all, hold on to your sense of justice and fairness. When you face discrimination and bullying for being Jewish, you could easily have chosen a golden calf like the Israelites from your Torah portion. You could have picked on somebody else to soothe your own anxiety. You could have backed away from your Jewish identity, but you didn't. Instead, the desire to see people treated equally and to be treated fairly has become a core part of who you are, and you wear the Star of David on your necklace with pride. That's the young man I see in front of me today. I see so much of myself in you, but I see you managing the same problems and anxieties that I'd had better than I ever did. I'm so proud and grateful to be with you today and celebrate the person you're becoming.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadlul Adonai iti, uneromema shemo yachtav. Lecha Adonai hagedula vehagebura vehatiferet vehanetzach vehahod. כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, לך אדוני הממלכה, ועמית נעשה לכל לראש.
Our Torah portion again for the Shabbos Parshat Shemini Parshat Ki Tisa can be found in our plowed commentary in the back.
For our first Aliyah, we invite up Sam's great aunts and uncles, Ann and Robert Eisen, Gerald Friedler, and Larry Cantor. Ya'amdu l'Aliyah LaTorah.
Hey guys, here's the cheat sheet. I got the cheat sheet. English portion. 1, 2, 3. Or who has
Baruch Adonai Barach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam. Asher Borchavanu Mikol Ha'amim V'nasa Emanu-El Birmingham. Baruch Atah Adonai Nosein HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayomer Moshe el Adonai Re'eh Ata Omer Elai Ha'ol Et Ha'am Hazeh V'ata lo huratani et asher tishlach imi V'ata amarta yidaticha v'shem v'gam atzata chen be'einecha V'ata imna matzati chen be'einecha Hodieni na et drachecha Ve'eda'ach למען אמצעכם בעיניך וראה כי עמך הגוי הזה ויאמר פניי אליכו וחניך אותי לך
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Baruch atah Adonai nosein HaTorah.
Amen.
You guys have the honor. Go stand next to me.
For our second Aliyah, we invite up Sam's aunt and uncle, Carrie and Nathan Cantor. Ya'amdu l'Aliyah LaTorah.
Good luck for you now.
All right. Baruch Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai nosein HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayomer Elav im ein panecha hochim al ta'aleinu mizeh ובמה יוודע אפוא כי מצאתי חן בעיניך אני ועמך הלא בלעתך עמנו ונפלינו אני ועמך מכל העם אשר על פני האדמה ויאמר אדוני למשה גם את הדבר הזה אשר דיברת אעשה כי מצאת חן בעיניך בעיני ואדעך בשם.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai nosein HaTorah.
Amen.
Yasher koach. For our third Aliyah, we invite up Julie Cantor Washko and Todd Washko. Yamdu l'Aliyah LaTorah.
Baruch Adonai Habarach.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai nosein HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. לכבודך. ויאמר אני אעביר כל טובי על פניך וקראתי בשם אדוני לפניך וחנותי את אשר אחון וריחמתי את אשר ארחם. ויאמר לא תוכל לראות את פני כי לא יראני האדם וחי.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah. Amen.
As confusing as it sounds, the moment of becoming bar mitzvah is actually being called to the Torah, not the reading from the Torah itself. So this is one of our big moments for Sam. We call Sam to the Torah for the fourth Aliyah.
Ya'amod David ben Yael Aliyah la Torah bar mitzvah.
Baruch et Adonai hamborach.
Baruch Adonai hambarach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamborach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torto. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vayomer Adonai hine makom iti v'nitzavta al hatzur. V'haya bavur kivodi v'samticha b'nigrad hatzur v'sakoticha pi alecha ad uvri v'hasiroti et kapi v're'ita et achorai ufana lo yera'u. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Yasher koach, guys.
And Yasher koach.
As the Torah is within our presence, we take time to think of those in our community who need strength of body and spirit. We especially think of Linda Applebaum, Margaret Bell, Harold Seitlin, Deborah Chargois, Greg Cohen, Karen Edwards, Bruce Fleissig, Belinda Gammon, Edward Goldberg, Jeffrey Goldman, Sandra Goldman, Miriam Goldstein, Josie Hatfield, Abraham Hausman Weiss, Sissy Held, Evelyn Held, Donald Himmel, Ralph Holtzman, Joan Jacobson, Corey Kessler, Bart Kolber, Jerry Lapidus, Wayne Lewis, Ashley Meyerson, Marlene Meyerson, Jeffrey Muss, Carol Bazitz, Michael Bazitz, Susan Schumann, Leslie Simon, Chrissy St. Charles, Brenda Weinstein, and Carol Wright. And for those with us this morning, if you are thinking of a loved one, a friend, someone who means so much to you, who is in need of body and spirit, that healing, we invite you to share that name as my eyes meet yours. For those names mentioned out loud and for those names that are still in our hearts, we turn to our prayer for healing, our Misha Barak, in our prayer book 371.
Misha Barak Avotenu Mekor HaBracha May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishe Perach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha La'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing, with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
For the honor of lifting and addressing the Torah, welcome back to the Bima, Nathan and Todd, and for those who are able, we rise together. Good luck now.
No fasting for 40 days and 40 nights.
It's your New Orleans, you take all the days.
I know, right?
1, 2, 3. Leverage. Turn around. Turn around. Can you show a few columns?
B'zot HaTorah אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל, על פי אדוני ביד משה.
Every week, in connection to our Torah portion, we do a segment from the prophets called our Haftarah portion. And this week, we hear Elijah speaking to the priests of Baal. And the connection between our Torah and Haftarah portion this week is Israel's irresolution in the face of other religious entities. And thus, Elijah is trying to convince those around him not to engage with false gods.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratza v'divreihem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'torah u'v'Moshe avdo v'Yisrael amo Umbimdriei ha'emet v'atzedek.
Amen.
Vayehi yamim rabim udvar Adonai haya el Eliyahu bashana Shlishit lemor lech heira'eh el achav ve'etna matar al pnei ha'adama vayelech Eliyahu lehevrot El Achav v'Havra'av Hazah v'Shomeron v'Yikra Achav El Ovadiyahu Asher Al Habayit v'Ovadiyahu Haya Yareh et Adonai me'od vayehi b'chachrit Izevel 8 Nevi'ei Adonai vayikach Ovadiyahu me'ah Nevi'im vayachbiem hamishim ish bam avra v'kilchelam lechem v'mayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzur kol ha'olamim tzadik b'chol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer ve'oseh המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק, על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום השבת הזה, שנתת לנו, אדוני אלוהינו, לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל, אדוני אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך בפי כל חי, תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת.
Amen. Yasher koach.
We rise together as we return the Torah back to the ark.
יהללו את שם אדוני, כי נשגב שמו לבדו. אותו על ארץ משמיים, מה ירם קרן לעמו. חסידיו לבני ישראל עם קרובו. הללויה, הללויה, הללויה.
Sam, on behalf of our Board of Governance, our clergy, our senior staff, we want to say Mazel Tov, Yasher Koach on an amazing job this morning. We have some gifts for you. We have a couple certificates, your certificate, our bar mitzvah, and also there's a few scholarships in here for you to go to Israel and study or have fun in your indigenous and ancestral homeland, Eretz Israel, the state of Israel. And then from our brotherhood and sisterhood, we have some lovely Shabbat candlesticks or a tzedakah box. I usually get one of them too correctly sometimes. But on a serious note, I wanted to make sure my public speech to you was perfect because after all, in case you don't know, your mother is my wife's boss and I want to get this perfect. So, there's one thing that Ken or Whitner and I know about you is that you have an incredible acumen. You're incredibly smart. I do want to say the B word that you're brilliant. Your ability to interpret, to analyze, and you do it with such joy and excitement. I've never met a bar mitzvah student that has such intellectual capacity as I've seen before. These past couple months, you understood the seriousness of this moment, and you studied so hard to get here. But I know being smart is one thing, but that's not what matters at the end. And what I learned about the Washko family, it's this. They are caring people. Your dad is a pediatrician, and your mother is deeply committed to her patients and well-being. And as my wife says, she's never seen anybody take such care of her patients. She's absolutely committed to them. And I got to see these staff members and some of her patients firsthand, but this is embodied in you. This is the Washko goodness. With intelligence also comes not responsibility, we've heard that too many times, but it's empathy and caring and being kind. So my public words to you today as you become a Jewish adult, celebrate your intellectual curiosities, keep on studying, keep on reading cool things that excite you, but overall, it's the goodness in your heart, it's the goodness that lives on in your grandparents. This endures forever. In a world in which there's so much darkness, you're the light that we need. Yasher Koach once more, and I ask the congregation to rise once more as we take him before the ark for private blessing.
To a land that I will show you. Lech lecha to a place you do not know. Lechi lach, on your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi lach. Lechi lach. And I shall make your name great. Lech lecha. And all shall praise your name. Lechi lach, to the place that I will show you. Lesimchat chayim, lesimchat chayim, lesimchat chayim, lechi lach. And you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi lach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Remain standing, 586 Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו אחד.
On this Shabbat, we recall the yortzites of Luis August, Sandra R. Apolinsky, Louis Berry, Harold Bowman Black III, Regina Blutman, Sally Brenner, Ralph Brook and Ruth Brook, Bradley Chesler, Jenny Chiffins, Dosop Chung, Norman J. Cohen, Jacob Henry Cohn, Max Copeland, David Engel, Gladys K. Evans, David T. Feidelson, Stella Fetter, Max Goldberg, Albert B. Goldsmith, Selma Virginia Goldstone, Malcolm Gordon, Morris William Green, Clarence Hagedorn, Alan Jack Hannon, Betty Hirsch, Joseph Seymour Kimmerling, Dorothy Cohen, Jack Ladinsky, Alex Lightman, Myrna Landau Levine, Francis G. Levy, Marjorie Lichtenstein, Abe Luria, Nathan Meyer Marcuse, Eva Margolin, Louis E. Marion Sr., V. Hugo Marks Jr., Elisa McElroy, Marjorie Abraham Meyer, Ferdinand Meyer, Donald Glenn Monroe, Ella K. Morris, Daniel Noble, Abraham David Oppenheim, Barbara Dunham Ream, Florence Renal, Louis S. Rosenblum, Pauline Louis Rosenfeld, Helen Rotenstreich, Mitchell Rubenstein, Irene L. Rusikoff, Arnold J. Siegel, Shirley Simons, Isidore E. Simon, Morris Ceroti, Will Slate, Barbara Kurgel Steiner, Gertrude W. Stern, Esther G. Swedlaw, Meyer Schnazerjam, Luis Levy Tamerson, James Carl Thompson, Roselle Toronto, Bertha K. Van Prague, Richard Waller, Brian Warnicker, Moses Wheel, Sadie Jurgen, and Joseph, and our heartfelt condolences in the recent passing of Jackie Blue, aunt of Judith Denson, Gerald Lewis, uncle of John Lewis, Louis Buddy Scholhafer, husband of Lucy and father of Lindy, and Sam, you have so beautifully honored the memories of Patsy and David Cantor, Robert Washko, Cecil Friedler, and Gregory Friedler. May their memories forever be a blessing. We rise together as a united congregation for Mourners Kaddish 598. Yikadal v'ikadash shemei rabbah, Biomad Ivrach Rote Vamlich Malchute, Bechayachon Uvyomechon, Uvchayet Bechol Beit Yisrael, Bagalah Vizman Kari V'Yimru.
Amen.
Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevarach Le'olam Olamei Almaya. Yibarach V'Yishtabach V'Hit Ba'ar V'Hit Romam V'Hit Naseh V'Hit Adar V'Hit Aleh V'Hit Alal Shmei Dekucha
Richu.
Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiram b'yoma v'yimru.
Amen.
Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru amen. O say shalom bimromav, huya say shalom, alena ve'akol Yisrael, bimru, amen.
O se shalom bimromav, huya se shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, me'imeru, amen.
We welcome back Sam and Meredith and cousins Grant and Sloan as we stand on the bima for Ein Kelohenu, and then we will do Hamotzi and Kiddush. We remain standing.
Ein Kelohenu, ein Kadonenu, ein Kemalkeinu, ein Kemoshienu, mich Eloheinu, mich Adonenu, mich Emalkeinu, mich Moshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu.
Baruch Atanai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen, l'chaim.
All right, deep sweet. 2, 3.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. Dig in. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Please join us for our lunch downstairs. Shabbat shalom.